A 34-year-old woman took a natural green tea extract to lose weight, and 12 weeks later she stood in her bathroom watching the whites of her eyes turn the color of weak lemon juice while her liver quietly died inside her. If stories like this one grip you, subscribe. This channel breaks down real medical cases, the kind that explain exactly what happens when the human body goes wrong, step by step, so you see the danger before it ever finds you. Now, back to that bathroom. It was early morning. She turned on the tap and something in the mirror stopped her. Her urine that morning had been dark. Not a little dark. The color of cola. She'd felt tired for days, a heavy, dragging fatigue she could not shake. There was nausea, and a dull ache under her right ribs, a pressure that would not go away. A 34-year-old woman, we will call her R. M, presented with fatigue, nausea, and dull pain in the right upper quadrant of her belly. Picture her clearly. Shoulder-length light brown hair, warm hazel eyes, a friendly, approachable face with small laugh lines around the eyes. Average build, a plain neutral top, soft natural skin. An ordinary person on an ordinary morning, except for the yellow. That yellowing has a name, jaundice. The word comes from the French jaune, which simply means yellow. When the whites of your eyes and your skin take on that lemon tint, it is your liver waving a flag. Bilirubin, a yellow waste product the liver is supposed to clear, is backing up into your blood because the liver can no longer do its job. If you've ever taken a supplement because the label said natural, this story is about you. RM did not think liver, she thought stomach bug. Something she ate, it would pass. And the word natural, printed right there on the bottle in her cabinet, made her feel safe. Because for 12 weeks she'd been taking a concentrated green tea extract capsule twice a day. A fat burner. She'd picked it up from the wellness aisle, the same shelf you have walked past 100 times, promising a natural way to lose weight. Green tea. Harmless. Everyone drinks it. She barely gave the capsules a thought, so she told herself it was a bug, and she waited. That was the mistake. Because a stomach bug fades in a day or two, this did not fade. Over the next few days, the yellow deepened. It crept from the whites of her eyes into her face, her arms, her fingertips. Her skin had gone visibly yellow. That is when she went to the emergency room. The doctors took one look at her color and moved fast. They drew her blood, and the blood work told a story far more terrifying than any stomach bug. Two numbers screamed off the page, ALT and AST. These are enzymes, tiny worker molecules, and here's the part that matters. They live inside your liver cells. Inside. They belong there, doing quiet chemistry, hidden away. They only spill out into your bloodstream when those liver cells break open and die. A little leak is normal, a flood is not. Her ALT and her AST were more than 30 times normal. 30 times. That is not a leak. That is a dam bursting. It meant her liver cells were rupturing by the millions, spilling their insides into her blood right there while she sat in the emergency room. Look at the whites of your eyes in the mirror tonight. That color is the first clue. Something was destroying her liver from the inside out, and nobody yet knew what. Her enzymes were 30 times normal and her cells were dying by the millions. But every obvious culprit still had to be caught. So the doctors began ruling out suspects, one by one, starting with the classics. The 3 hepatitis viruses. The 3 hepatitis viruses were the first suspects on the list, an infection that builds over days to weeks, exactly the kind of timeline that can wreck a liver. Hepatitis A, B, and C. All 3 came back negative. So the doctors kept going down the list because something was still tearing her liver apart. First, they stabilized her. Fluids into the vein, monitors clipped on, anti-nausea medication to settle her stomach, and for a moment it looked manageable. Her heart rate steadied, the room calmed. You could almost believe the worst was behind her. Then the next blood draw came back, and her enzymes had climbed higher, not falling, rising. Whatever was inside her liver, it was not slowing down. It was accelerating. That small window of relief slammed shut. To understand what was happening, the doctors had to rule things out, one by one. And you can play detective with them. Here's the trick they use. Time, how fast a symptom appears, tells you what kind of enemy you are facing. Seconds usually means something with the blood vessels. Days to weeks points to infection or inflammation. Years suggest something slow, like cancer. Every suspect gets measured against its clock. Start with the plumbing. Gallstones. A hard little stone can jam the duct that drains the liver, and the pain hits in seconds, sharp and sudden, doubling you over. So they ran an ultrasound. The probe slid across her upper right belly, and the screen showed her gallbladder, clear, no stones, nothing blocking anything, dismissed. Next, the classic liver killer, alcohol. Years of heavy drinking can scour a liver into failure. It's the first thing many people assume, but RM barely drank. A glass of wine at a birthday, maybe. That is it. The numbers were far too violent for the small amount she drank. It did not fit. The wine glass got set aside. Then the slower suspects. Autoimmune hepatitis, where the body's own immune system turns and attacks the liver. And here's a good place to break that word down. Hepatitis. Hepato means liver. The ending, itis, means inflammation. Liver inflammation. Her antibody test did not support it. Raised and dismissed. Liver cancer, which grows on a timeline of years, not the 12 furious weeks she had lived through. The imaging showed no tumor. Dismissed. A blood clot choking the liver's veins. A vascular problem. Seconds on the clock. The scans found no clot. Dismissed. One by one, the checklist emptied. Cross, cross, cross. And with every line struck through, the mood in that room got quieter, not calmer. Because when you eliminate every obvious answer, and the liver is still dying, the real cause is something you have not thought to ask about yet. So the doctors asked a different kind of question. Not what disease do you have, what do you take? Every pill, every powder, every capsule. They handed her the clipboard and asked her to list it all. She listed a multivitamin, some fish oil, and then almost as an afterthought, she mentioned the green tea capsules, a fat burner from the wellness aisle. She said it the way you would mention brushing your teeth. Routine, harmless, barely worth saying out loud. She mentioned the green tea capsules almost as an afterthought. That afterthought was the answer. Think about the last supplement you forgot to mention to your doctor. The one you would not bother writing down because it just seemed like nothing. Hers was sitting in the wellness aisle in a bottle with a leaf on the label and the word natural printed across the front. And that word was exactly why nobody looked at it first. She reached over the hospital bed and handed the bottle to the doctor. Green tea. Something millions of people drink every single day. Warm and safe. No harm done. That was the only suspect left standing, which made no sense. How could a plant in a teacup turn into a poison in a pill? The answer traces back to a single molecule with a long and unfriendly name. EGCG. EGCG. Epigallocatechin gallate. A single molecule in green tea, gentle in a warm cup, and the reason RM's liver was dying in that hospital bed. Because the danger was never the plant. It was the concentration. And this is not a new mystery. In 2008, the United States Pharmacopoeia reviewed dozens of reports linking concentrated green tea extract to liver injury. Real cases, real people. Different countries, different brands, one pattern. When researchers went looking for the culprit, the trail kept leading back to the same place. EGCG itself. So picture the difference. A brewed cup of green tea holds a small amount of catechin. You could drink it every morning for decades and be fine. Millions do. But her extract was not a cup. It packed the catechins of dozens of cups into a single pill, and she took 2 a day on an empty stomach, which made her body absorb even more. That empty stomach matters. With no food to slow things down, the catechins flooded in fast. Same molecule, wildly different dose. Now, here is where the story turns dark. Right down inside the cell. Inside every liver cell sit tiny power plants called mitochondria. They keep the cell alive, they make its energy. In a normal day, they run clean, but high-dose EGCG overwhelms them. It floods the cell with what scientists call oxidative stress. Think of rust. Think of it forming faster than the cell can scrub it away. The cell has defenses, little cleanup crews built exactly for this. And for a while, they hold. Then they don't. The rust wins. The membrane, the thin wall that holds the cell together, breaks, and the cell dies. Now multiply that. Not one cell, not 1,000, millions of them, rupturing, spilling their contents into her blood. That is the flood of enzymes the doctors saw. That's why her numbers were more than 30 times normal. This has a name: hepatotoxicity. Hepato meaning liver, toxic meaning poison, poison to the liver, from a bottle labeled natural. And if your fat burner says extract, not tea, on the label, pause this and go check the dose right now. That one word, extract, is the whole difference between a drink and a drug. So the diagnosis finally had a name: drug-induced liver injury from green tea catechins. Not a virus, not a stone, not the drink she almost never touched, the one suspect everyone trusted. And the treatment? Deceptively simple. Stop the pills immediately. Then support the liver, monitor the enzymes, and give the organ a chance to do the one remarkable thing it can do. The liver regenerates. Cut away part of a healthy liver and it can grow back. So the plan was not some heroic drug. The plan was to get out of the liver's way and let it heal. But there was a frightening stretch first. The doctors watched. They waited, because if too many cells had died, if the damage crossed a certain line, no amount of rest would save it. She would need a transplant, a new liver, or nothing. Her family sat with that question for days. Would her own liver hold on? Or was it already too far gone? It held. She did not need a transplant. Over the following 8 weeks, her enzymes fell. Week by week, the numbers dropped back toward normal. The dull ache under her right ribs faded. The dark cola color left her urine. And slowly, the whites of her eyes turned back from that weak lemon juice yellow to plain, ordinary white. Her liver rebuilt itself, cell by cell. A full recovery. So what do you take from this? Not that green tea is evil. Drink your cup. The lesson is quieter and it matters more. Natural does not mean safe. And dose is everything. A supplement is not tested like a drug. No one guaranteed that pill was safe at that concentration, twice a day on an empty stomach. Read the label. If it says extract, respect it like medicine, because that is what it became. And tell your doctor every capsule you swallow, even the one that looks harmless. The afterthought in her story was the answer. Don't let yours be an afterthought. And that is the story of how a woman nearly lost her liver to a natural fat burner. This has been a medical case study.